Hey boys and girls, Mrs. Marth here. I just wanted to create a short instructional video for you to help you with your elapsed time lessons this week on Moby. Today I'm going to do not a lesson, a problem with you with our Math Learning Center math apps. This is the same website that you went to for your fraction bars and fraction circles when we were working on comparing and equivalent fractions. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to mathlearningcenter.org/resources. When you get there, you're going to click on Math Apps. Then when you're redirected, you're going to scroll down the page, and the first app that you see will be called Math Clock. That's the one you're going to click on right underneath the icon where it says Open Web App. When you do, you'll of course come to a blank workspace. I'm going to click on another tab. I already have a problem set up. So the whole purpose of learning elapsed time is to figure out how long you're doing something, or to find out what time you will need to start something or what time something will end. So just today we're going to start with how long an activity will take. So I have a sample problem on the whiteboard already. It says Aiden and his family went to Kirby Park to ride bikes. They arrived at the park at 1:10 p.m. After riding for a bit, they left at 1:55 p.m. How long were Aiden and his family riding bikes? So as you can see, I drew somewhat of a number line here. And we're going to use this number line to help us count chunks of time from 1:10 p.m. to 1:55 p.m. So when you create these timelines, you always want your first hash mark to be your start time and your last hash mark to be your end time. So this empty space in between is where we are going to be counting chunks of time to see how long it is between those two. So what I like to tell students is find a chunk of time that's easy to count by. Typically, I start with 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Since 10 minutes is a little bit bigger, I'm going to draw a hill. Oh, let me get my pen there. I'm going to draw a hill, and I'm going to label it 10. Okay, so after 10 minutes, I start at 1:10 p.m. 10 minutes go by. The next time is going to be, hopefully you're thinking about it as I'm typing it, it's going to be 1:20. Let me just drag that right there. 1:20 p.m., of course. So if we're at 1:20, that's still not our end time of 1:55, so we have to keep counting. So let's do another 10 minutes. So we will draw another hill, and we'll do another 10 minutes, okay? So if we have 1:20 and we count another 10 minutes, that will be 1:30. Okay. 1:30 isn't our end time, so we'll continue counting 10 minutes. Another 10 minutes from 1:30 will be, hopefully you're saying it to me. I can't hear you, but I hope you're saying it. 1:40. Okay, 1:40 to 1:55. I think we can count one more set of 10 minutes. So let's do one more. Label that 10. Okay. There we go. Okay, so 10 minutes, you're at 1:40. 10 minutes later, hopefully you know what it is already, will be 150. Come here. Let's make you smaller and move you, hey, right here. So now you're at 150 and you need to get to 155. So one more hump. It's not going to be 10 minutes though. So you think 50 to 55. Your jump should be 5 minutes this time because that'll get you right to 155. So even though we went from our start time, 110, counted all the way to 155, our end time, we're not completely done yet. We need to count all of this elapsed time and put it together. So we can count by tens and fives in our heads. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 45. So our elapsed time, Aiden was riding his bikes with his family for 45 minutes. So that's how you use your timeline in order to solve elapsed time. Now, here's another problem. Let's change this problem a little bit and we'll say Aiden and his family went to Kirby Park to ride bikes. They arrived at 1:10 p.m. They rode their bikes after riding for 25 minutes. They left. Then this changes our question of what time did they leave the park? Okay. So I'm going to clear all that. We're going to delete that. Delete these. I'm going to start with a new timeline. So looking at the problem, we have our start time and we know how long they were riding for, but we don't know what time they stopped or what time they left the park. So that's what we need to find. So using your tool, you can draw a straight line, your timeline, 2 hash marks, one at the beginning, one at the end. I'm using the text tool just to keep it nice and neat. Start time is 1:10 p.m. Done. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. Put it right there. So we know that we need to count 25 minutes. So we're counting a little bit differently here. We're going to break 25 minutes up into different hills. So we can still start with 10 minutes. So there's one hill. 10. And if we have 110, we know from the previous problem that 10 minutes later would be 120. Okay. We can do another 10 minutes. I know my hills are a little crooked, so please excuse that. I'm using my mouse to draw. 10 minutes after 120 would be 130. So that's 10, 20. We need 25, so we need 5 more minutes. Whoops. So 1:30 and count on 5 minutes would be 1:35. So if Aiden and his family arrived at the park at 1:10 p.m. and rode for 25 minutes, they left at 1:35 p.m. So that would be our end time. That would be our answer because it asks for what time, but it would be the end time since that is the missing number in the problem. I hope this helped a little bit. If you don't, there is a work mat feature in Moby Max that you could just put right over the problem in Moby Max, so you could use that as well. One other thing I want to show you is you can use a clock to add elapsed time. So let me get a new mat here. I always like to choose the geared hands because as I move the minute hand, it's going to move the hour hand for me like this. See, as you move the minute hands, the hour hand moves along with it. That way you don't have to keep trying to get the hands perfect. It'll do it for you. So same problem. Aiden arrived at the park to ride bikes at 1:10 p.m. If you choose this little dotted clock down the bottom, that's the elapsed time. Click when you get to your start time, 1:10, click the check mark. The green means you're counting forward time. The red means you're counting backwards. We're counting forwards. So in the original problem, Aiden rode for until 1:55. So that's 1:10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So this whole green area is the time that we need to count. So again, you can still use your pen to count 10 minutes. Okay, so there's your hill there. 1:10 to 1:20, 1:20 to 1:30, 1:30 to 1:40, 1:40 to 1:50. Whoops, almost went over there. And from 1:50 to 1:55, which is 5 minutes. So again, just like using our timeline, we would count the time that we drew, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45. So the Aiden and his family, let's move this over here. The elapsed time is 45 minutes. So if you don't want to use the timeline, you can also use the clock feature on the Math Learning Center. All right, boys and girls, hopefully this helps. If you have any questions or problems with the lessons, feel free to message me during Moby Max. I miss you, and I hope you are well. Have a good day. Bye.